Hi everyone, today I'm taking a look at We Promised You a Great Main Event, an unauthorized WWE history by Bill Hanstock. So this is a hardback book all about the history of WWE. So let's take a look on the back. So you can get the gist of what it's all about. So first off, I love the title. We promised you a great main event. You know, those of you who are old school fans will remember that phrase, and yeah, it's just really cool way to title the book. Now, of course, it says unauthorized, unrestricted, no holds barred, because this is not an officially licensed, product. But that can be a good thing, right? So let's take a look inside. As you can see, I've got an autographed copy here. This is also available as an ebook and an audiobook. Actually, I own it in those formats as well. So let's look at the table of contents here. So it's broken into parts. Part 1, the McMahon family and the early years. Also, gotta love that introduction. You know it's all fake, right? It's the biggest gripe I think fans have, is when people tell them that. So the thing that's cool is that in the beginning of the book, they really get into, a brief history of kayfabe and the territories and really cool stuff like that, in addition to obviously the McMahon family itself. Part 2 is all about Hulkamania, steroids, and the new generation. So this really is all about, the original glory days, if you will, of the WWF, right? When you had Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania, and then of course, the Ultimate Warrior, and the new generation with Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, and all that wonderful, all the wonderful talent. Of course, the screw job, right? Loose cannons like Brian Pillman, and dirt sheets like the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Of course, part 3, the Attitude Era, a lot of fans' favorite era in the history of WWE. Not necessarily me. I actually prefer the era before this one more. Anyway, check out that chapter, chapter 13. Get ready to suck it. That's a good one. That's going to put some butts in the seats. Referencing when Mick Foley became WWF champion for the first time. All sorts of good stuff here. So that's part 3, all about the Attitude Era. Part 4 is TVPG, the reality era. CM Punk and Pipe Bombs, Total Divas. Part 5, what comes next? WWE gets global. As you can see, this book is, 439 pages. So this is really an incredibly deep dive into the history of, the WWE. And in between, or throughout the book, I should say, they have these wonderful drawings. So there's no photos, really. It's just these drawings throughout. You'll find them in here. And they're really beautifully done. So if you're buying this book, you're hoping to buy this book for, great photos or things like that, you're not going to find it here. However, you're going to get these incredible illustrations, for each part. So that's quite nice. The writing is solid. It's not going to knock your socks off. I mean, the author is a reporter, right? So reporters, typically trying to write in a fairly simple manner so anyone can understand what it is that they're putting out there. So, it's a nice, easy read, but it's incredibly comprehensive because the company has a rich history. Here's another one of those illustrations. Very cool. The exploding limo that wasn't. All sorts of crazy moments. As you can see throughout the book, there's some footnotes. Actually, let's take a look at the index, because I'm sure some of you are curious about what's covered and what's not. So let's take a look at the index, alright? It's a pretty elaborate index. So this will just give you a rough idea of what's in here, or at least what's referenced in this book. Even COVID is referenced in this book. The Freebird Role, Terry Garvin, Glamour Girls, of course the Hart Family, Bobby Heenan, Hillbilly Jim, Bob Holly, Kamala, Isaac Yankem, DDS, also known as Glenn Jacobs, also known as Kane. This is really, honestly, the most in-depth book that is solely about the history of WWE. So, I mean, if you're really looking for the definitive book about the history of the company up until, 2020, this is your book. Definitely worth checking out. Now, if you're looking for anything earth-shattering, that's really gonna surprise you, if you're a really, sophisticated fan who knows a lot, it's probably not gonna blow you away in any meaningful manner. You can see even TNA is referenced in here. Of course, NWO. World Championship Wrestling, ECW, all the WrestleManias, Yokozuna. And about the authors, so in case you're curious. So Bill Handstock is an Emmy-winning producer, screenwriter, editor, and journalist. So he has interviewed countless WWE and independent wrestling personalities and events for SB Nation. He's contributed to Polygon, The Athletic, and Inked, and he has penned nearly a dozen stories for the official WWE comic book. He lives in LA with his wife, son, and 2 cats. So, that raises a good point. This book is not exactly filled with interviews. So, for example, the book I'm currently writing about the history of TNA will have maybe, more than 250 interviews in it. I will have interviewed more than 250 people for my book. And throughout the book, you're going to get a ton of thoughts from those people about key moments, milestones, matches, feuds, you name it. This book isn't that. This book is really just the author providing you with the history of WWE broken up into several parts. So it's a very kind of dry, straightforward read. You're not going to get a lot of insider information or anything of that nature. So if you're coming into it looking for that, you're going to be disappointed. But if you're coming into it looking for just simply a story about the history of the company and, just kind of cool moments and matches and wrestlers along the way, then, this is for you. Definitely worth checking out. Like I said, you can get it in hardback, I think for about $20 or so on Amazon. You can get the ebook for less, and then you can get the audiobook, which is available through Audible. Of course, you can check it out on Amazon or iBooks or any of those good places. But yeah, it's available in 3 formats, and I do recommend it. I mean, if you're a fan of the history of professional wrestling, this is definitely worth checking out. You know, it is a deep dive, and I do think the author took a great deal of time to put a lot of care and love into creating this book. So I definitely give it 2 thumbs up. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Really appreciate it. I'll be talking to you soon. Take care.